This is a walk-around video of the new Pulldozer 2490 from Bridgeview. The main focus of this video is going to be what changed over the 70 series, and our website has a lot of information on the various uses of Pulldozers and what they're all about, and there's a lot of video on YouTube, so this is more just a focus of what changed on the 90 series. In general though, Pulldozers are just a multi-purpose earth-moving tool. In ag applications, the jobs are endless you can do with them. A lot of ditching work, water management, dragging a hill into a slough to elevate it and disperse the water. You can backslope ditches, clean up fence lines, prep new yards. Like if you're building a shop, they're good for, they're excellent leveling machines for any type of that type of work. Cleaning up behind scrapers, moving snow. For industrial purposes, they're great for well site cleanup, road maintenance, road building, stripping peat moss. The list goes on. And they're just behind tractors, like they're so quick and nimble compared to hauling like an actual dozer out. They definitely have a purpose. So we build Pulldozers in both straight blades, which is the 10 series Pulldozers, 18 and 24 feet. And then the transformers are the models with the hydraulic folding wings. The folding wings create a whole new range of possibilities of what you can do with the Pulldozer. The first benefit, it's not the major benefit, but the first benefit is narrow transport. The wings will fold right in forward, and the axle, it's a telescoping axle, so it'll retract, and it'll get you down to a 12-foot road transport width, so it's narrower than your tractor is. But on the Pulldozer models, we actually patented a feature, and it seems simple, but we tilted the wing pivot axis rearwards. And what that does is when the wings hinge forward, they also lift up. And you can see on the far wing, the way I've got it parked here, that wing is way off the ground. So if both wings were like that and you sunk this down in the ditch, like it would dig you a nice U-shaped ditch first time one pass. The wings can rotate about 40 degrees forward. They'll go right up so those rubber bump stops hit the hitch. And they'll also go back behind the center line of the blade about 10 degrees. And then they'll reach down. So if you're on top of a road and you want to reach down over a ditch to clean it up, by swinging backwards and down, it'll allow you to do that. So it's good for terracing, or when you're in the field, you find you're just playing with the wings all the time. Just you can conform it to your land so well, and you just do because you can. So the 70 series Pulldozers have been out for 6 or 7 years, maybe a couple years longer than that. They've been very rock solid machines. The 90 series is just the next evolution of that. It's a ground up redesign. It doesn't share any components with previous models. It's just the result of years of field testing, customer feedback, our own new ideas, and we've rolled it into this new 90 series. So this has been a long time in development, and this one's been really well field tested, and it's ready to go. The main features, just as a really quick summary of the 90 series, is going to be the straight cutting edges, all new frame, which gives it's stronger, narrower transport width, all new rear axle design, and our Pulldozer precision monitor system. The cutting edges alone are very much worth talking about. Pulldozers up to date have used basically a grater blade. They're 3/4 of an inch thick, and they're curved. The problem with the curved blades is that the angle of attack changes as they wear. So they've always got kind of an optimum cutting angle, and as they wear, like when they're brand new, they're very aggressive and they cut great. But as they wear, the angle gets steeper and they don't bite in as hard. So on the 90 series here, we've gone to 1 inch thick, they're straight grater style blades. So above being 25% thicker, these are a way bigger blade, but they always stay at the right cutting angle. So as they wear down, the angle stays the same. And then we were able to shape the actual dozer blade part of it, like the actual mounting point of it, to make use of that blade. It's not a compromise like it is on the curved blades. So coming around back here in the shadow, the wing cylinders are the same. It's the same bore and rod size as the 70 series. That's always been rock solid. The whole frame itself is altogether different. Like I said, there's no shared parts, but it's clean, it's fully boxed everywhere. It's a heavy duty reinforced machine. The axle on the 90 here is a fully redesigned system versus the outgoing system. The 70 series were very solid machines, but this is just, it's just an improved design. It's just the next generation. So starting off, we wanted to narrow up the machine even more. The 2470 closed up to about 14 feet wide, whereas this one will close right down to 12 feet. We went from a single rear main axle support tube, this central part here. We went from a single tube to a double tube for two reasons. To get the narrowness with these telescoping tubes, we didn't want like a three-way overlap, like the left axle overlapping the right axle, overlapping the center support. It just complicates things, and it doesn't give you very good options for cambering the wheels. So now we've gone to two separate center support tubes, and then each the left and right axle stubs go into their own pocket. So if you can see here in the shadow, the tubes are welded at a cambered angle. So we've always got a nice positive camber on our tires. And beyond that, we've redesigned the axle pivot system, so it's more like, you know, the front axle on a front wheel assist tractor or something like that. It's about a 3-foot axle pivot shaft on hardened bushings, double shear, very strong, very good setup. We went to a little bit bigger tire and rim on the 90 series, so a lot of these machines are working in the mud and you can never have too much tire. So these are up to a 1050 50 R32 tire. They are big. And then coming around back here, that's just a rear view. The tilt cylinders, we've got ball valves on them just for quick and easy safety locks. Tail lights, obviously. GPS tower on this one, that's optional. And then we've got pedestal like pads here on top of the wing, so you can put wing mounted GPS towers on there. The monitor system is the next biggest noticeable difference on the 90 series. The 2470 and all previous models use mechanical gauges, so there was a series of either bars with indicator rods that would show the wing position, and then on the hitch we had horizon, like your tilt indicators, your lift height indicators, and they were often run by, you know, cables or mechanical linkages. There's two problems with that. The mechanical systems, there was always a little bit of backlash in the system, so, you know, as all the pins and cables took up their slack, for example, if you're tilting the blade one direction and then you reverse it and tilt the other way, you would notice that the blade would start tilting just, you know, a split second before the gauge would start moving. And in some operations, people wanted finer control than that. The next problem with the mechanical gauges is they're so far behind the cab that you get a parallax effect where, like, if you're looking at the Pulldozer straight on, the gauge would look like it's reading, just say you're looking at your wing angle, it would show that your wing is straight. But if you turn like a left-hand corner or a right-hand corner and look at it as you're making a corner, the gauge, might show that you're 5 degrees forward or back, just depending on the angle you're looking at it. And there again, when you're doing really precision work, you want to make sure your blades are dead straight, or you might very specifically want to be at a 10-degree forward wing angle. It was really hard to tell when you were there, just unless you were sitting in the exact right position, leaning forward or back in your chair exactly right. So the new gauge system is electronic. There are a couple rotary position sensors and then a handful of inclination sensors on there. Those sensors communicate with a control box on top of the hitch. You can see a little blue box on the top of the hitch, and that communicates by Wi-Fi to the monitor in the cab. So that box is powered just from 12 volt right through your tractor plug. So you don't need to run any cables to your cab. Like if you were to unhook the Pulldozer and move it to a different tractor, you can take your monitor over, but you don't have to run a cable, up over the rear frame and through the back window into the cab. It's strictly light plug and plug your monitor into the 3-prong corn planter plug in the cab, and you're up and running. Up in the cab, I'll make this short and sweet because the camera doesn't pick up the monitor very well. It's just a frame rate issue. In real life, the screen is just perfectly clear. The gauge it's customizable. There's two different views. There's the bird's eye view, which we've got shown here, where you're looking top down on it. And then there's a horizon view where you're looking at the machine on the screen as either behind you or looking from behind the machine or looking from the front. It does weird things with your mind. Like if you got your seat turned right sideways in the tractor, then all of a sudden like left becomes right and right becomes left, and your brain does funny things. So we've made it customizable, even in terms of like the tilt. That's the tilt indicator is this top middle gauge. And some people, when you tilt the machine to the right, they want the gauge to swing or the arrow to swing right. Some people want it the other way, where like the Pulldozer stays still and the gauge moves. So we've just given different options to try to work with everybody's different types of brain. The gauge system is, just to be clear, that's what it is. It's a precision gauge system. It's not GPS enabled. It's not meant to replace a full water management system. It just tells you very precisely where all your hydraulic functions of the Pulldozer are, like your wing position, your tilt, your lift height. So as far as major functions go, the vertical bar on the right hand side, that's your overall lift height. The 1 degree, that is your tilt to horizon. That'll be actual, like to the actual level horizon. The middle gauge, a very important gauge, that is your Pulldozer, like it's the blade compared to the axle tilt. 1 degree, that's elevation or grade. So are you going uphill or downhill? And then the bottom gauge here is wing position. So it shows your gauge position in terms of degrees. So with the monitor, you can mount it beside you, in front of you, slightly behind you. It's really nice for, like it's extremely accurate. The height and positions are accurate to within, an inch. So you know exactly what position you're in at all times. A lot of times if you're doing Pulldozer work, you're doing circles, like where you'll drag dirt one way and then do a circle, or do a figure eight and pull dirt back the other way. But as you're making your turn, you're trying to reset your machine back into kind of your starting position. So the nice thing about this is when you're making that turn, you can be looking at your screen and adjusting your Pulldozer back to the way you want to start, without twisting your neck all the way around and looking back at the machine. So, when you're in here all day, every day in the fall doing dirt work, it's way more ergonomic and way more comfortable. Back outside, just to recap, so the 2490, it's an all new build, and it's just built on years of experience, lots of customer feedback, lots of our own internal testing. And we're just taking a solid machine and making it even better. They're stronger, their consumables last longer, they're easier to use. The wearing points have been reinforced. It's a very solid machine. So there is a lot more information on our website, www.bridgeviewmanufacturing.com. Or give us a call. All of our contact information's on the website, and we'd be happy to have a conversation and answer any questions that you might have. Thanks.